Hello and welcome to today's Teardown Sessions. I'm Helen Leigh and today's guest is Wailun from SQFMI. Good morning, good afternoon,
Good
I'm sorry.
morning.
Where are you based? You're in New York, aren't you?
New York, so it's about 3 p.m.
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So good afternoon to you and good afternoon to me as well here on the West Coast. We're here today to open one of these exciting things, one of your projects. So Wailun is the engineer behind Watchy and also Badgy, and we're going to take a look at what this actually looks like on the inside. It's very exciting. And we're also going to find out from him some of his top tips for making your electronics campaign a success. So,
Yep.
Without further ado, do you want to introduce yourself and your work a little bit?
Definitely. So, hi, this is Wailun from SQFMI. This is the first time probably I'm announcing the full name.
I was going to say SQFMI. Okay.
SQFMI. You'll find the full spelling on our website, and so we kind of shorten it because it's a mouthful to SQFMI, which turns out to be even more syllables. But that's what we go for these days. So yes, SQFMI is our company. Myself and my business partner. We're so happy and excited to bring you the Watchy project and then productizing it. And then it's been an interesting journey when we started, a couple of years ago, working on e-ink and different electronics. And, this is our first crowdfunded campaign. So yeah, exciting.
And what did you do? So you had a product before that, didn't you, Badgy? And what did you do with that one? Was it a Tindy?
Yeah, that was project? On Tindy. So I have this right here with us, Badgy.
Hello, Badgy.
So this is our first project and product. I think this started around, almost like 5 or 6 years ago, when we're playing around with these e-ink displays. And, at the time it was interesting because the price point was fairly low enough for the hobbyists to play around with. There was enough open source documentation for us to try out. And so I built this prototype just as a personal project. And I wrote a whole blog about it and how, I went through the process of learning how the e-ink displays work, how I can integrate it with like an ESP-8266 module. And when we built that project, we found a lot of feedback and a lot of interesting requests from us, like, hey, is this something we could buy? What can you build with it? So we just ran with it. I built additional example code, posted it online. And, my first thought was, it seems like a lot of folks are interested in this product. How can we get it into more hands? And so that was kind of our first foray into actual manufacturing and, building an actual product. And of course, starting out, Tindy's a great place to get started, right?
Oh, it's totally. I'm wearing a Tindy T-shirt, actually. This is given to me by Jasmine from Tindy. I hadn't realized that, but
yeah. So it was very great for us to kind of start the Badgy project in like small scale manufacturing. At the very beginning, we just hand assembled everything, and we just kind of learned more about the whole process, and that built up into more ideas, more projects, and we got more comfortable with creating products. And eventually that evolved into Watchy.
Amazing. So why did you decide to that you were ready for a crowdfunding campaign?
So we did fairly well on
for a while?
Yeah. We built a product, and actually we came up with the idea 3 or 4 years ago. And at the time, it was a cool proof of concept. And you can see here we have one of these early PCB prototypes that we built. We got the display working, so we had a prototype essentially. But we didn't feel like it was good enough as a product because a lot of times with these projects, you probably spend 10 to 15% of your time, using KiCad, building out the prototype, assembling it, and it works. But you need a lot of software to enable it as an actual product, and not just the firmware on the product itself, but the whole ecosystem, documentation for developers to build additional apps on it, sample code, and just putting all the information on there is necessary for us to kind of build that up. Also, the whole ecosystem of community, other folks being interested in the product. So we started putting it on Tindy, and we spent a lot of time, preparing for that. Once we had the documentation, we're comfortable with putting it all forward. And then we just got blindsided by a lot of media attention. So, we got some blog articles writing about Watchy on The Verge, Gizmodo, and created a lot of these tech blogs, and we got so much media attention, which we weren't prepared for. And that kind of helped validate the market for us and saying, hey, a lot of folks are interested in this. A lot of people are missing the times when they had the pebble to tinker around with this kind of open source hardware product. It was a good fit, good timing. And so we went forward with, let's put together a crowd funding campaigns so that we could, reduce our manufacturing costs, launch this at scale.
I was going to ask you about the Pebble, actually. Were you a Pebble lover, and were you a member of the Rebel Alliance?
I was not a member of the Rebel Alliance, but I am a Pebble lover.
Actually, let's explain what the Rebel Alliance is for those people who are watching that don't understand. So the Pebble was the first big successful e-ink watch. It actually came out before the Apple Watch as well.
Right.
So basically it was like a predecessor. It was like the first big smartwatch, right? And it used an e-ink display. But the company went under. The Pebble company went under after a couple of successful runs of their product. But the Rebel Alliance were a group of Pebble users who were like, hold on a second, I don't want to lose, when the servers go down, I don't want to lose any of the, the apps on my phone or any of the stuff that I've been doing, because there's a big user base, like in the millions, I'd say, or maybe certainly like the high hundreds of thousands. I'm not sure how many people actually bought a Pebble in the end. But anyway, so the Rebel Alliance was basically these people who got together and were like, okay, let's boot up our own servers and let's host all of these things here, and let's do some let's make sure that our watches don't just become like paperweights. So that's what the Rebel Alliance was. People who do these things.
There's still a fairly active community.
There is. Yeah. I don't know about today, but last year there was an article that I read in I don't have I think I've got it here actually. Yeah, so this, amusingly enough, so spring 2020, so obviously magazines come out before spring 2020. So this was the headline for the pre-pandemic make, which makes me laugh. But in this, there is an article about the Rebel Alliance, and this is only from last year, and apparently there's over 100,000 people in the Rebel Alliance. So the Pebble community is still up and going. Anyway, so that's what the Rebel Alliance is: a group of people who decided to take control of their hardware, which is basically awesome. But yeah, so was the Pebble before your time in terms of your involvement in this kind of technology, or was it something that you very much got inspired by?
Yeah, definitely inspired by it as well. Interesting fact is also I went to the same college as the founder of Pebble. He's a few years my senior.
No way!
So in a way, it's kind of like retracing the footsteps a little bit, but of course, Watchy today is nowhere near the capabilities of Pebble or the size in terms of community. But definitely inspired by Pebble. I went to a few Pebble hackathons, back in the day, building out interesting apps and things like that. And I think the interesting thing about where we are today is, the technology and the tools available to us are so kind of democratized to make it so much easier for someone like myself, SQFMI, we're like a 2-person operation, and we can kind of build a simple product like this. And that's a huge thanks to open source software, tools, and the knowledge sharing in general that you can find just on YouTube these days, that, someone can just pick this up and try to build something like this, right? And, this was probably a lot more difficult, 5 or 6 years ago, when you just had to spend a lot of resources in doing this.
I think both of us are in that age bracket where we've really benefited from open source, not just open source technology, but also all the tools that came up around that open source technology, and the community of sharing, the openness of knowledge, I guess. People share their methodologies on YouTube. There's just this culture now that you can learn from other people, and I think both of us, probably assuming we're similar ages, we're both at that cusp of, oh wow, we can actually start to get to grips with some actually quite complicated technologies because of the people who are sharing. So it's really
that's also why we wanted to continue with the same values, because we benefited so much from the open source community. We really want to keep Watchy completely open source, down from the firmware to the hardware to the actual design of the enclosure. We just wanted to share everything that we learned.
And where do you share these things? Do you put them on GitHub, or what's your?
Yeah, everything's on GitHub, because I think that's where developers still congregate. So all the files are on GitHub. We got the whole Watchy product certified through the open source hardware.
Oh, you did? Cool.
Alliance. Yeah, so we did all of that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Shall we take a look?
Yeah, definitely.
I am absolutely dying to open this beautiful packaging and share it with you all. So, okay, let's. I'm going to switch around our view. a second, and I'm going to bring my workbench down camera into the stream. And in fact, I think I'm gonna solo layout it so we can.
So I'm going to take this opportunity to give a shout out to my business partner who is involved with designing these incredible graphics and documentation for everything you see today related to Watchy. We spent a lot of time revising and trying out different layouts for the graphics on this packaging, and we're really happy with it. And I hope you guys will like it as well. But yeah, huge shout out to all the graphics we have on here.
So beautiful. And I'd actually, like, of all the things, hang on, let me just bring up my camera settings so it's not auto focusing like that, because that's terrible. Okay, so basically, one of the things that I think really sets Watchy apart is your documentation is excellent and your branding is fantastic. And let me just open this up, and this is the outside packaging, and you can see this little peak of like, look, it looks like I've matched my nail varnish to your packaging. That was unintentional. That wasn't unintentional. So you've got this lovely packaging, which is nice little product design on the front, and on the back we've got. That's how you can tell it's a real product. It's got a barcode on it and everything, and you've got these. You've got a little peek of what's inside. All right, so I'm going to open this up. Here. Wow. Okay, so we got that sleeve, and then underneath it, I don't think I need my knife. What else have we got? We got anything on the back? Oh, we do, of course, have something on the back. Look at this. Ooh,
some specs.
So bold. This looks, some nice specs, and I like your icons as well. What does that QR code lead to?
That leads to watchy.squarefumi.com. So that is where you can find all the documentation, all the files that you need about the product itself. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so there's the back, there's the front. Now let's open this up. Nice. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. And then, hang on, I've got to show you this. What is with this? Is this an Indian runner duck?
So ducks have a recurring theme in all of our products. It's sort of an inside joke. So we try to hide ducks in our PCB, in our silk screen, in our packaging. Any chance we get to put a duck in some of our packaging.
That's so funny. All right, so there's the duck. And let's have a look inside. What else have we got? So we can open this up. It's like a flap. It's got some nice little foam. And then here we've got a nice... we've got a little exploded diagram here of how to do it.
Diagram, a high-level instructions.
Really nice. And then we've got these things. So what took me through here, we've got, this looks like a bit of a case. This looks like a case. We've got little ends here. We've got an absolutely tiny, very cute LiPo battery. There's your PCB. There is the very nice watches. What is this? Like some kind of rubber?
This is a silicon quick release watch strap. So we've included one so that you can wear as watch from the very beginning. But we expect folks to kind of customize it with their own standard 24mm quick release watch strap. So anything that you can buy off the market is compatible. Okay,
cool. So it feels very nice though. So nice silicon watch strap. We've got nice matte PCB. Let's bring that out there. Ooh, lovely. Here we are. And then we've got this. We've got the screens as well. Very nice. Okay.
There's the screen protector, which we've added as part of this campaign as well, and some stickers to kind of secure the whole product together.
I see. Just gonna put that all together. And then we've got this. Is this like a plastic case? Is this vacuum? How did you make these plastic cases?
Yeah, so this was a new addition to this campaign specifically, which we didn't have before when we launched with Tindy. We got a lot of requests saying, hey, can we have a case for Watchy, right? So we can wear it, it's better protected. And so we're like, why not? Let's look into how we can do that. And so this is our first foray into doing injection molding with plastics. And so we basically start from scratch, learning how to leverage design tools, Fusion 360, building up step models. I have a bunch of prototypes that were 3D printed that you can see here, which some are failed prototypes, but some are the final product. And then we went into looking up a factory to help us set up this injection molding process.
How easy was that? I mean, was it really difficult? Have you ever done injection molding before?
No, this is our first time doing injection molding, so it was really exciting and scary at the same time.
Did you get to go to the? I guess you didn't get to go to the factory, did you? Because
not unfortunately due to the pandemic and everything.
The whole plague thing.
Yeah. So we got to communicate very frequently with our manufacturer, asking for videos and samples sent to us.
Have you been to a factory? Have you ever seen injection molding?
On YouTube,
in real
yes.
life?
Not in person.
I've seen it in real life. So I spent quite a bit of time in Shenzhen like a few years back, and I got to go to some injection. I actually got to go to one of the Lego injection molding factories, which was so cool. Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
They definitely operate a different scale with Lego.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So I've actually seen injection molding happen in real life, and it's actually very interesting. It's kind of cool. I love factory processes. All right, so let's take this beautiful packaging out of the way and let's see what I can do. I might put it together a little bit. While I put it together, do you want to talk through some of the design decisions that you and your partner made while I try and assemble some of this?
So we went through, I think, at least 5 or 6 different iterations of the Watchy design. As I showed you guys earlier, we had one early prototype stage where the screen was actually oriented sideways. And then we started with a design that actually used the ESP.
Hang on a second. Let me bring us all back into the same layer.
Oh no,
I'm way too big. Hang on.
No worries.
There we go.
Right, this is perfect. Yeah.
That's much better. Okay.
Right.
You show me.
I got some of these PCBs that we designed earlier. These ones used the actual ESP-32 modules. Yeah. And it was easier for us to first prototype with these, but they turned out to be way too thick on what we wanted with a smartwatch. And they were more expensive in the long run. So we migrated to the ESP-32 Pico, which you see here is one of the earlier prototypes as well. And we did one, shout out to Osh Park for their amazing After Dark PCB service, right? So we did one of these as well, just as a proof of concept. We didn't assemble it actually. We might build one just to give it away as a part of a lucky draw or something. We got some of these PCBs. So our goal was to kind of trying to minimize the overall height of the watch so it feels comfortable on the wrist. We also looked at a couple of things that affected the user experience. Essentially, we started with some buttons for the watch, which weren't as tactile as we wanted. So we went through a couple of different brands of buttons just to make sure that they were clicky, because I think that's a huge part of the experience as well. I'm a big fan of mechanical keyboards as well. So the clickiness of it is really important. And then, once we were pretty happy with the design, we had to also design for manufacturing. And so I think we're pretty fortunate that with our current design, we weren't hugely affected by the shortage of the silicon that everyone's experiencing currently.
I was going to ask about that.
Why? Because some of our... So first step is we secured a huge part of our inventory earlier on when we knew that we weren't to mass produce this product. So this was, I think, early January, late December. So at that time, the prices were still reasonable. If you go onto some of the websites today and look at prices of the silicon, it's just crazy right now.
Yeah.
So and second is we wanted to actually produce more units than what we had in this run, but at the current prices, it just wasn't feasible for us to do. So right now, I'm revisiting the BOM to see if there are some alternatives that we could possibly use in terms of the SKU or some ways to secure our stock going forward. But so the current design is part of the 5th or 6th iteration of it. It's ready for manufacturing. We made sure that the factories are capable of putting it together. We wanted to keep it as a kit and not a fully assembled product because we think that's part of the experience as well. That's also why we focus so much on the packaging, because I think if you're familiar with often electronic kits, is you have a standard beige cardboard box with a bunch of Mylar bags in there that holds the components. And to us, that's not very exciting. We want folks to get excited when they see the box and they open it up, they see all the parts. So it's a huge part of the experience as well, putting together your own smartwatch.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
So designing that.
I'm having a nice time.
Yeah.
Although I wish I brought my tweezers over.
For us, when we assemble, we've gone pretty good at it at this point because we've done so many, but it can get tricky.
This is my first time.
We've had some folks in the past where they stuck on the screen backwards. So we would put a huge disclaimer on our website now. It's like, make sure, it's the shiny mirror side is, facing down and not up, right? It's like, hey, the screen's not working. Well, because the screen is upside down. So that's unfortunate for some of the folks who put it together that way.
I hope I haven't done that. I should have double checked with you. I'm just assuming that is the right way.
That is the right way.
Okay, good. That would have been enormously embarrassing.
And that's important feedback as well, right? Because if a lot of folks are experiencing this problem, then we need to address it better.
Of course, yeah, exactly. You can't know what is obvious until, you know, like we had one recently where it was dice keys. I don't know if you saw that campaign. It was a set of dice that was you roll it basically, and you create a security key. But some people were putting the lid. They were sealing the lid. Before putting the keys, the dice in it. Okay. And they were like, and the people at Dice Keys were like, well, that was a user experience issue that I was just not expecting. Because once they're sealed, right? Right. So they're not really useful if there's no dice in them. Yeah. All right. That's something that you kind of have to, step into the shoes of the person who's in the box and really understand what's going on. Yeah. So you see here with the... It's just not the electronics, is it? You know, it's also a lot.
It's the whole experience. Yeah. And so with the current design, with the injection molding, it's also, we did a few iterations over it. I have one of the cases here as well, as you can see. And we had one that's painted in beige just to replicate the kind of retro Apple computer kind of look. We 3D printed this one. And as part of this campaign, we also did a CNC anodized aluminum case as well. And so that was also an interesting process for us because it's also our first time doing anything related to CNC, anodized aluminum cases. And what you see here is the one that you'll get as part of the campaign. We have these nice shiny silver buttons and attached by 4 hex screws. And when we were first prototyping with this, we had a little bit of fun. So, I have one here that's in plain color, non-anodized, and also with the kind of
fun.
Right? And we also did it in blue and also available in pink as well. Or slightly pink.
I want that.
Yeah. So, this is something we'll probably consider down the road if there's enough Watchy users that makes sense for us to spin up a run of these cases. But I think, the kind of onyx black color is a safe bet for us to kind of mess with.
No one's gonna be mad at like a nice black color, are they? Right. But I do covet that raspberry pink color. All right. So we have got the that in there. Just so you know, all I've done here is I put the battery on, I've put the screen on, so I've put that in there. That was slightly fiddly. I'm not sure if that's connected properly yet, and then that's on there. So next I've got this one. I've got to use this sticky bit.
That'll let you secure the battery to the bottom of the case so it doesn't...
I see. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm doing a bad job of putting that sticker down. But I've not missed any steps so far, have I?
No, it looks good so far.
Okay, good. Because all I'm doing is following the IKEA-style images.
Yeah, we actually put together a YouTube video earlier just to showcase the assembly steps. Yeah. So hopefully that will be helpful for some of the folks who are trying to put this together. Yeah,
this edge of that sticker is quite stubborn. It wants to stay attached to the sticker.
It's doing its job too well.
It's doing its job way too well. Yeah, I can't peel it off. So. How much did you? So something that's really interesting, something that's kind of unusual for. So I've seen quite a lot of campaigns come into Crowd Supply, and something that I thought was quite refreshing and unusual for an engineering team is that you came with your hardware basically completely. You knew exactly what you were doing. There were no real changes to your hardware. You'd been through that prototyping stage, you knew what you were doing, you just needed to, essentially get it up there. And instead of working on your engineering during your campaign, you actually ended up doing absolutely loads of outreach and talking with your community. And I think that really massively helped. Obviously it helps that you've got a great product and that you've got a great piece of open hardware here. But I think in terms of like the people it reached, And in terms of like the size of your campaign and the success of your campaign, I think a lot of that can be attributed to how prepared you were. You had like a marketing strategy, like you had an outreach thing. I wonder if you can share with like other engineers, like what it is that you did and what your plans were going in, and your strategy in terms of like trying to make this a successful crowdfunding campaign, because I think that's not something that everybody knows how to do. You know, we can all get, you know, like a lot of us, particularly, you know, we've got good ideas, right? But it's like, how do we share those in the most effective way? Like, it's not, you know, like getting a project is not just the product design. It's not just the engineering. It's not just the product design. So you've gone beyond engineering with excellent product design, but then like you've gone one step further even by like you knew how to share it, right? And I think that's something that not a lot of people understand. So I'd love you to talk about that a bit.
Yeah, definitely. So like you mentioned earlier, you know, engineering the product, manufacturing it, and coming with the product idea is just the first step of maybe, I would say, 5 to 10% of your overall process, right? If you talk about 100% being launching the product.
Yeah.
And a lot of what we learned was, you know, we saw a lot of different crowdfunding campaigns on, you know, different platforms like Indiegogo, Kickstarter. And, you know, we saw what a lot of the successful campaigns did was that, you know, they were able to empathize with the customer, showing them, you know, how they would use the product, the different scenarios where this might be useful or what's interesting about it. They have really good videos and graphics just to sell it, right? So we thought that that was going to be an important factor to really push forward your product. And that needs to be on top of an already great product and building on top of that. For us to come prepared with the manufacturing and engineering figured out is also part of something that we learned when we were on the other side as a customer, you know, backing different projects that might be really exciting. And, you know, you see this prototype with like an Arduino and a screen attached to it. And, you know, it's really promising and exciting, but what we learned was there's so many more steps after the prototype for you to bring this product to market, right? All these other things you got to figure out, you know, the readiness for manufacturing, the packaging, the documentation, you know, the different distribution channels. So what we did was when we first started Watchy, we spent most of our time, even before talking about it, figuring out, you know, let's finish this product so that we know that if we get the green light tomorrow, we can go ahead and make like 10,000 of these, right? Let's get to that stage first. And then the most of our time, which we spent in the past 6 to 12 months, was really building up that community, building up the documentation, building up all these other pieces that are necessary as part of the product. And so I think that's something that we learned from first selling on Tindy as well, when we got the feedback on Badgy and how we engage through social media, you know, Twitter and Instagram as well, talking about our product, showcasing the different use cases and what people build with them. You know, fostering that community is really important when you want to have a successful product itself. You know, letting people understand what it is and how they can use it.
Let's try this again. Hang on.
And we're back.
I'm sorry about that. My internet
No
just
worries.
went down. I had to restart my router. It's the pandemic situation, isn't it? Everybody's doing their work from their home studio, and the internet in my building is like,
Everyone's on Teams at the same time.
I know, right? Exactly. Oh well, at least the stream didn't drop. Let me just check on YouTube to see if we're still up there or if it's messed us up.
I think we're good.
I hope so. Let's just check my. Let me just add the my down camera back in. There's that. Here we go. Look at that. Ooh. I need to mute it. Nobody likes hearing themselves twice. There we go. All right, so that was a small disaster, but that's okay. We can trim that out, I think, in post.
The magic of television.
I know, right? The magic of the magic of YouTube. Let me just mute this. Okay, no, it's already muted. We're all good. It's all good on YouTube. There was just a drop. That's okay. I'm glad it didn't drop us. Where were we?
So I was just talking about, the overall bringing the product to market, aside from just the engineering and the manufacturing aspect, right? What else we kind of went through to kind of target the product. So I think that the biggest takeaway and any tips to, makers who are looking to productize their inventions and their ideas is, think about, the folks who are going to be buying your product, the community around that. Because if you think about some of these maker products, a lot of times you don't have the resources of a large company to do the support and help people out. So it's really important to put as much information as you have available on the internet so folks can figure it themselves, and building that community as well so that people can help each other out.
Yeah. Cool. How's it going? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. Perfect.
Okay, good. It was just doing this weird thing again. All right, so what I'm going to do, so I've got this now. Look at this. Oh, it's so cute. All I've got to do is put the buttons on it. Let me.
So I would recommend putting the PCB on the lower case. Once it's nicely settled in, put the 4 buttons on, and then slap the top case on.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I've got the screen protector. I've got the 4 buttons. One of them fell on the floor, but it's okay. I managed to find it. It's not that tiny. It's not like the tiniest one. All right, so I've got the screen protector on. All very exciting. Nice touch with the screen protector as well, because we're all a bit too clumsy otherwise.
Because the screen itself is glass, and it's the front face of the Watchy. And so, because we expect folks to wear it more often, we came up with a screen protector. We talked to a factory that manufactures screen protectors for cell phones. And so we asked them to do like a custom job for us. And they're like, the MOQ is like 1,000 pieces. So it worked out because we were selling that many more on crowd supply. So we got screen protectors made. And so, yeah.
No, they're cool. All right, let me just make sure I'm doing this right. So that goes in there.
Yeah. Once you have the 4 buttons, it's a bit easier to latch the top part first and then snap the bottom.
You put the 4 buttons on first.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm doing so
actually,
badly.
Make sure the PCB is sitting in the case itself. Yeah.
So put the piece, but like this.
All right. So it's sitting nicely.
Should it snap in, or should it just?
No, it shouldn't snap. It's just
okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And
okay,
then you
so
put
no
the 4
extra
buttons.
pressure. All right. Good. And the 4 buttons.
And then you would hook on the top latch of the top case first, and then you would snap the bottom part.
Okay.
It's a bit tricky because the buttons are fairly small.
Yeah, the buttons are small and they keep popping out again. That's okay though. It's actually been a pretty simple build. Okay, so the top bit is the bit without the extra lip, right?
Yep, exactly. So hook that on to the top first.
That on first. And then push it down.
There should be a. If the buttons are aligned, there should be a satisfying snap.
There was not. I don't think I hit the top bit on correctly. Oh no!
So I don't have the buttons on this one, but it should.
I've thrown the buttons everywhere. It's okay. I've just managed to throw them on again. Throw them on the floor again. All right, carry on. Sorry.
No
I
worries.
don't. Oh, it's latched on quite nicely to the PC. Sorry, the PCB, the watch face has latched on quite nicely to the this, but unfortunately didn't latch onto the other thing.
One of the tricky things with making the case as well is, we had our 3D printed prototypes.
Yeah.
But going through the injection molding to make sure that the tolerances that we have are accurate and good for the tactile feel and everything snapping together was also a concern that we had. So we had to have the sample shipped to us to make sure that everything just fit perfectly every time we had an iteration of the case design. And also because when you 3D print your parts, they may not be the same tolerance as the injection molded part.
Yeah.
And also another piece of information is also the step model of the PCB design itself. We use that as a basis for how we design our cases. So we had to make sure that our model was really accurate, right? Down to the battery and the buttons itself and the screen. Some of these, we didn't have models from the beginning when we designed the PCB in KiCad. So we had to create our own models as well and measure, with the caliper.
I was going to ask, did you use do you use KiCad rather than Eagle? Have you always used KiCad, or has that been something you've switched over to?
Yeah, KiCad is actually how I learned anything about PCBs in general. Yeah, it was.
When did you start? When did you start making PCBs?
I would say about.
You're an electrical engineer by background,
no. So
you're a software, aren't you?
Software. So my background's in computer engineering. I played with PCBs, but never designed or manufactured my own up until I would say about 5 years ago. Watching Chris Gamel's Getting to Blinky. I think that's what a lot of folks learn.
That's how I made my first PCB as well.
Right.
Big up Chris Gamel's Getting. In fact, no, I used the first one wasn't Getting to Blinky of his. My first one that I made. My first PCB that I made was another one of his videos. It's called "Shine On You Crazy KiCad." Obviously it's a takeoff of the "Shine On You Crazy Diamond" or something. And that was how I first learned as well. Yeah.
I mean, I think I would say so. That was actually the first electronically designed PCB that I made.
What was?
After going through the Chris Gamel's lesson on how to design a PCB, I would say. My actual first PCB, I'm actually old enough that I had some acid bath and some copper plates, the old school method.
Wow.
Where you print it out and you iron the sheet on.
Where did you do that? Like at college or at a makerspace or what?
That was probably when I was in my teens, when I was just playing around. It didn't turn out very nice though, because it didn't have a drill press, so you can't really put the through-hole components in. But that was probably my first experience. But yeah, no, the lesson from Chris Gamel on KiCad really was first started everything for us. We had a lot of cool ideas, but our ability exceeded our ambition. So for us, it's really to catch up, right? We had to learn KiCad, we had to learn Fusion 360, we had to learn all these tools, and to kind of go from there. And my first PCB was, getting to Blinky from Chris Gamel's lesson, going to Osh Park, figuring out what Gerbers are, and then figuring out that whole process.
I think that's the way that I did my first PCB as well, and I think that's the way that a lot of people get started is Chris Gamel and Osh Park.
Right.
Especially because Osh Park. By the way, it's all working. I'm just getting the straps on.
Sweet.
Yeah. These straps are kind of funny. What on earth do you do with them?
So you have to push in the quick release little button you see here. So that kind of shrinks
push it in.
Slide it sideways. That's it. Maybe we need some instructions on that one as well. So yeah, I would flip it around. Yep.
Yeah.
Slide in one of the poles.
Oh yeah.
And then the other one, you can do the other one first, and then push on that little lever on there. So it pulls in, and it should snap in.
I got it. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've slightly broken the other one now. By doing it, because like the little quick release button came out.
Oh no.
It's okay, don't worry. That's because I
if you just slide it in, the tension should be enough.
It's fine. It is. There we go.
So yeah, I think it was a really exciting moment from that point on, and that what kept us going is because a lot of times when you do things like learning a new tool for me, it was, if I'm clicking a few buttons, putting a design together, and getting a PCB shipped to your home is really an exciting experience, which you don't get with just working with software.
Oh, so. You don't. I'm exactly the same. I just don't bother to code unless it's for something physical these days. Like, I just don't find it interesting. Making something like this is just like a million times more exciting than making a Hello World website, in my opinion. All right, so we've put together this little watch. Now what happens?
So one of the things that we did was testing to make sure all the software works. So if you look at the watch from a front-facing direction, the bottom left button should be the menu button. So we're
doing things upside down here.
Yeah.
So this bottom left. Okay.
Yeah,
let's give
that
it a
should
go.
be the menu button. So sure, if it's turned on, if you have the battery connected or the screen connected.
Possible. Gosh, no, it turned on. It just turned on as I was opening the case. That was horrifying.
Oh, okay.
That was fine. Yeah, I was just impatient, and now I've flung the button on the floor again. All right, well, but we can see what that does. So basically, no, I haven't. They're both here. They're all here. That's good. I've not lost any of the buttons. So we've got. I've just reopened it to have a little look, and then it did just make me. It did just do a. Is it just a short press or a long press? Woo, it's vibrating a lot. So it's vibrating a lot. Do you know what? It's possible that it's not connected adequately.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can. So it's on actually. Maybe I didn't put it on.
Do you make sure that the screen itself is pretty secure into the FPC connector?
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna do that here. So I'm gonna take this out of there and attempt to re-put it in. Yeah, the FPC connector, it's quite fiddly sometimes to get that in. It's the most fiddliest bit of the whole thing.
And then once you have it slide in, you have to lock the connector as well. So
yeah, I've done that, but I did wonder if it wasn't fully connected. But that's fine. Yeah. So what are your, aside from making, I want to talk to you a little bit. My hands are too jittery at the moment. So what are your plans for the next thing that you're going to be doing?
For us is at this point looking at continue to foster the community, really engaging with our developers to see, there's tons of additional software features that we can build out. So we really need to figure out what's a high priority item for us to do, and to kind of get community feedback. We want to look at more distribution channels. So obviously, we want to get Watchy into more hands of folks, right? And then looking at what other things that we can build into it. Right now, we have a Discord channel. So if you haven't joined already and you have backed Watchy, please go ahead.
Do you want to drop me the link and send me the drop the link on the comments. I've also got Marquee. That's not what I wanted to show you. It's this one that I wanted to show you. So that's your website where you can find all the documentation and all of that kind of stuff as well. Yeah. So, and then here we have the Discord link. Let me put a new one up here. So this is the Discord here for you. And you're getting quite a lot of people working on the Discord. Have you got any? So, with it being open source hardware, are you getting other people contribute as a consequence of that? Do you think?
Yeah. So far, we've gotten some good feedback on bugs and fixes in terms of the.
What kind of bugs have you seen so far?
Yes, so we had some optimizations with our Watchy UI framework. So initially, when we wrote the first version of the firmware, we wanted to save as much battery as possible, knowing that the ESP-32 is quite a big battery hog, right? With the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capability built in. So we wanted to put it to sleep as much as possible. And so what happened in that scenario was, because it was going to sleep every time, the microcontroller had to wake up, load the screen, and so it felt a bit laggy, especially with the refresh rates of the screen. So we updated the firmware so that it was more responsive. Essentially, would wait till there was no interaction, no button presses for about 10, 30 seconds before we go back to sleep, so that when you're actually engaging with the watch, it is actually responsive when you're clicking around it. So we got that as that was not necessarily a bug, but we had a lot of questions about it, so we thought it was a good idea to update the framework to put that in. We had some feature requests for us to add the ability to connect to the RTC clock, the 32 kilohertz clock, so to enable more low power capabilities. So we're looking into that as well. Notifications is a big one folks are asking for. But for that, we really have to figure out balance between the power budget and how we can manage like a constant Bluetooth communication with the device. And that of course also means putting together an app possibly on the phone's end.
Yeah. And have you been talking? So have you actually been talking to the Pebble community at all, or the Rebel community? Like, so you said that you went to the same university as the guy from Pebble. How did you find that out? Did you know him? Or?
I didn't know him as well. I think I was actually a customer. He bought one of our watches. He built it, and I recognized his name because I realized that he was the founder of Pebble. And so we had an interesting conversation, and he actually connected me with some of the folks over at Rebel. But really? We didn't have any conversations following that since just because we're busy with launching the Watchy product. But I think there's some possibilities there to build up some of the features and engage with that community. One of the main challenges I would think is because the hardware that's being used by Rebel and the other support watches is different than what we're using in Watchy. So that might be. Use? So I know they're talking about the NRF 52 Bluetooth microcontroller. So that one obviously has a much lower standby power consumption. It's used in a lot of different smart wearables, Bluetooth, and things like that. So that's something to think about as well if we really wanted to engage.
What made you choose your stack? Like, why are you using it?
So that's an interesting tidbit as well in our design and engineering process. We looked at the different microcontrollers that are available. We looked at the connectivity options. And back to the original point, we felt that community was a big part of this product. So we looked at, where the active developers are. Is there a lot of support around the firmware? Is there Arduino support? Is there code samples? And we found the ESP-32 was way more popular and had a lot more support in that sense. And working with the NRF, even though we could come up with like a stock firmware that works well with the watch, we didn't see a lot of community around developing applications and code samples around there. So that was the reason why we chose the ESP, despite the fact that it's not as, some would say it's not suitable for a Rebel application because it is so powerful and it consumes a lot of battery. But we felt that the capabilities and the flexibility and the compute power kind of outweighed, the power consumption.
Yeah, that's super cool. Have you got any future plans for more Ys at the end of objects? We got Badgy, we got Watchy. Is there another E coming? I did see that on your on your Twitter profile. It says Badgy Watchy _E. Like, have you got any like fun ideas?
Yeah, so I think you can tell from our Twitter and our product line that we're pretty obsessed with different display technologies in general. Yeah. So we started out with Badgy, which you see here, and then we have the Watchy product, which we're unboxing today. And we got this idea of putting together 6 different e-ink displays. Which is our 6 Badgy, and we haven't figured out how to pronounce it yet. But essentially, it's Badgy, but we replaced the 6 with the B. And what this is it's 6 displays ganged together and all powered by an ESP-32 as well in the back. There you can see the design right here.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, and so we think this would be a cool kind of smart desk display that developers can build cool applications on it, like a Bitcoin tracker, a weather display, other information you put in a dashboard. We have been experimenting with larger displays as well. So you can see I have this gigantic 12.48-inch e-ink display that we were experimenting with.
Wow. Are you in touch with the Radionica guys?
No, we're not. But we're aware of their product, which is really cool.
They're the next ones on this stream.
The ink plate.
The ink plate. I've got a bunch of them. You should definitely talk to them. And there's also some people I've been talking to who are doing a planning. I don't know if I'm gonna spoil some secrets now, but like they're planning a fully open source e-ink laptop.
Wow.
I know. That's like there's some people doing that, and they're in the EU, I think, somewhere. Gotcha. Yeah. So
e-ink technology is just so much fun because.
Why do you think it's coming up so much? Like I could just see it everywhere now. Like, is it that the drivers are getting like easier? Is it the like why is e-ink everywhere?
I think it's a combination of both. Just the like we said earlier, open source hardware, software, the drivers being easier to access, and also I think the cost of it in general. If you look at the Kindle, right? I think which is probably the most popular. You have to make like millions of those units in order to justify the cost, right? For a hobbyist consumer, these are still very price prohibitive. But I think at this point they are still on the high end, but they're low enough for us to kind of develop and try out. So that's why we see a proliferation of these.
I mean, the e-ink, the Inkplate team, they're actually based out of a hackerspace in Croatia, Zagreb, I think. There's quite a lot of open hardware coming out of Croatia. But they are using recycled Kindle screens for theirs. So what they're doing is creating, like essentially like a driver for these recycled Kindle screens. I think that's a really nice example of taking something out of the e-waste stream as well. It's kind of cool. You should definitely chat to them. You should come next week and then ask some really awkward questions about e-ink drivers. You'd be like, sabotage them in the comments section. No, not at all. No, they're real cool. So yeah, they'll be on in a couple of weeks. What do you think about the idea of an e-ink laptop?
I think, depending on the refresh rate, it could be a really interesting product and the price point. Because I think one of the challenges working with e-ink is really the refresh rate, the lifetime of the display itself, and the cost, right? The cost is a huge driver. You can get these really nice high-resolution displays that run on, SPI or MIPI at a very low price, right? But e-ink, I think, is still going to be a challenge. And with something like a laptop, you would have to deal with high resolution, so you have to find the right processor to kind of enable it, right? So I think, there's a lot of challenges in building it up, but when that product comes to the market, I think it will find its place and interest, in the community.
No, it's super exciting. I think it's like the laptop idea. I think that's very much like in the early stages of development. I think they said they were going to do an e-ink driver first. Like a much more complicated one than it currently exists. It's a big academic project, but also some passionate hackers from different parts of the EU. So I'll be interested to see what happens with that. I think that's like really long way in the future, like definitely like another couple of years. But it's really interesting to see so many people working with these alternative displays.
Speaking of the alternative displays, another one that we love and experimented with is memory displays, right? Which is kind of a solution that's the best of both worlds. It has the low power consumption, high contrast, but it's also very fast refresh rates. And I don't know, have you heard of the Playdate product, which is like a
Playdate project?
Yeah, it's a hugely popular product, which is like a tiny Game Boy-like console, which has a memory display in it.
Yes,
it's like yellow. Have you seen that one?
Yeah. That one came from. That wasn't Sweden, I want to say. Wasn't that like a game studio that did that? Yeah, I'm not aware of the name of the company, but I know they partner with Teenage Engineering to come up with design, which is another company that I love. Yes. That's what I mean. They're Swedish, I believe. The Teenage Engineering. That's who I mean. So was it somebody? I thought it was just Teenage Engineering, but was it somebody that partnered with Teenage Engineering with the game studio? Yeah. Yes, you're right. I remember that one. Yeah, and didn't it have like a little crank? Yes, that was really cool. Yes, I remember. Wow. And so what was the technology that they used for their screen on that one? So that's the memory display, which was actually what they used in the original Pebble as well. I think it's got some misunderstanding in terms of like, hey, e-paper in the first Pebble, but it's actually memory displays. They're mostly manufactured by Sharp and JDI, which is a Japanese display manufacturing company. And so they have these low power displays, which is great for wearables. And but they were very expensive from the beginning. And actually, I think the FPGA phone that's currently crowdfunding on CrowdSupply, they use one of the memory displays as well. You mean Bunny's one? Yes. The precursor. The name. Yeah, the mobile dev kit. Yeah, that one also wang bang gangbusters just last year.
that got us interested in memory displays as well. And because we couldn't apply a play date, we built like a prototype as well of our own version of it.
No way.
Right. So
and how are you controlling that? How are you controlling that? Also,
we go with the ESP as much as possible. Yeah. So we got like a DAC, an SD card reader.
Yeah.
And the one thing that we did different, because we didn't want to build another crank into it, was we just built this interface so you can connect different things like, you know, a gaming face if you want to play games, a kind of like keyboard, so you essentially have like a pocket computer.
I like that.
Type of device. And we also did this thing, as I mentioned, teenage engineering will love their products, like the pocket operator. So we built one of these to emulate that. So yeah.
I'm a big fan of teenage engineering. They do such beautiful things, and like they're just like small and imaginative and well engineered and like super nerdy. So I do really appreciate them. So aside from design engineering, like who do you and Pebble, and like who would you say are your engineering influences? Like who do you look to kind of when you're thinking, oh, I need to raise my game?
I think there's a lot of people I follow on Twitter. I don't recall all the names at the moment, but a lot of folks are doing some really interesting and creative things with, you know, PCBs and hardware in general. And some of them were sharing it on YouTube. And it's just really exciting to see this scene involved because, you know, when you think about electronics, like maybe, I think this has been led by the entire, the badge kind of subculture as well, right? You know, electronic badges. And so people are doing these really creative things with like silk screens and starting to do these cool things, which is just the PCB. And that's kind of been our inspiration as well. We did Badgy and Watchy, which is just start with a plain PCB. It serves as a functional form aside from just the circuitry. And so we just kind of like look to that as some of our design principles when we build something out. But now that we've been armed with, you know, injection molding experience and CNC experience, we're trying to put more of that into our products as well going forward.
That's exciting. Are you gonna? So when you say you were enjoying, you know, like you're influenced by badge culture, like do you actually go to a bunch of these hacker conferences? With the badges?
When they were still available.
Of course,
Right.
Like, what do you go to? Like, what's the scene over in New York like? Is there quite a big?
Yeah,
or do you travel?
New York is definitely not as big in terms of that scene compared to the West Coast and some of the places in the Midwest. I think the harbor scene. Of course, we have the Adafruit over here in the East Coast,
of course.
Right? And NYC, Resistor, and other places. But I think, you know, there's a lot of amazing things coming out the West Coast, you know, in terms of the badges people put together, you know, the what was that called again? The hackathons they had in Vegas every year. With
DEF CON.
These really cool badges.
Have
so that's
been?
Always in. No, I have not. You know, I've always wanted to go, but couldn't.
I've not been to DEF CON yet either. I've actually never been to DEF CON yet. I'm very much like I've only just moved to the US, so like I'm very much like a Euro hacker. So I've been to all the like big European events, but like not really. I've only been to SuperCon and Teardown here. Those are the two hacker events that I've gone to.
I regret missing out SuperCon last year when they had it, or the year before in LA.
Yeah, that was a good one. You must come next. You must come next time. It's always a really fun event, and you got to come to TED. So you know that we do a hacker festival as well at Crowd Supply. I don't know. Every year June we do. It's very much inspired by SuperCon, so it's that same kind of vibe, the same kind of crowd, like 300-ish people. It's not big, you know. It's nice to have that smaller. So you actually get to have proper conversations with the other engineers.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's SuperCon's a good one, Teardown's a good one. I've not been to DEF CON yet, but I'm on a mission to persuade like every American hacker that they've got to go to Congress. Do you know what Congress is? They have like really interesting badges. So Congress is it's like the original hacker conference, right? It's been going for 37 years, 38 perhaps. But basically every year between Christmas and New Year's, they take over a huge conference center near Berlin in a city called Leipzig, which I always pronounce correctly, so apologies if there are any Germans watching this. But yeah, so basically at Leipzig conference center, and they have this huge hacker party with workshops and there's just like loads and loads of workshops, loads and loads of talks, and people from all over the world, like Bunny Huang, who normally lives in Singapore, he always comes. Tim Ansell, who's the Google engineer behind like Tomu and the Google Skywater project, which is an open source chip project. Do you know about this? That they're doing?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you tempted? Are you tempted to have a go at making your own chips?
I think so. It's just for us, really, it's prioritizing what we got to do because there's so many cool things coming out every day. But,
I know. I get so distracted. Yeah. Okay. So you're focusing on displays. You know that there's a Hackaday prize for displays this year.
We saw one on the Reinventing Retro, which we thought was really cool.
There's a reimagining displays as well is happening. Okay. I don't know if they've announced that one yet.
We got a few other like display technologies, like for example these old school 7-segment LED bulbs.
Ah, we love those. We love those.
Right? I love like the VFDs. So these are a bit hard to drive,
what
but you know, it's always good.
What is that?
So this is I think it is a one. This is a Nordic Itron VFD display that I bought off eBay.
Yeah.
I think I snagged this one for like $25.
Yeah.
And so I connected it with a ESP-IDF port to drive it. And it's pretty straightforward. You just have a bunch of shift registers to try and drive this display.
Can you just turn that sideways again so we see that side profile? Does that hold it up as well?
Yeah, so we designed it that way so that
clever.
it's like a stand so it can just sit like that.
So there's an interlocking PCB stand. That's so pleasing. That's so pleasing.
It mates with the connector, which came
That's a really clever design. That's a really clever design.
I love this. And also one of the other things we worked on is one of these old school 7-segment LCDs. Yeah. So we put together this display so it works as a calculator and a wireless numpad. So just playing around with these displays, we try to get our hands on all these different display technologies, either old or new, and try to create something interesting out of them. So,
there's some really good stuff. Have you played around with adapting existing display units? There was a bunch of people doing lots of like hacking of vintage TVs. So I wondered if you'd ever given that a go.
No, I haven't. I think most of the things we've touched is still in the digital realm. So it's about like, you know, streams of bits.
Would you be tempted by analog?
Definitely tempted. I would have to do more research first because I know they deal with high voltage. So it's not something that, you know, I just want to like dive right in and put my hands in everything. But yeah, definitely like CRTs, you know, some of the old school scopes that people hack and
I've actually never done that. It's always been on my list of the idea of being able to, because like with the old school scopes, you can actually create these amazing visuals with the correct signals, right? I've never done it myself, but it's been on one of my like to hack lists for a long time. There was actually, there's a guy called Adam Zeluf, and he does something called the PyMod Zero, which was a crowdfunding campaign actually on CrowdSupply, and it's like you plug it into an old TV, and then you can then just use it like a Pi. So it's like an interface. So basically, you can then like do the digital situation. And I think
I've seen some folks actually hack like an ESP. I forgot if it was ESP or something else, where they just put a wire to one of the GPIOs, and they were able to oscillate it to generate like an RF video signal and tune into the right channel, and you can just get the display from there. And so like no actual video processing units or anything like that, just a single GPIO to broadcast video, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, no, it is really cool. I think that's a really and there's so many really amazing displays out there that you can use and hack with all sorts of different compatibility. So tell me a little bit about how you so like basically it's got this, so the watch itself, you turn it on, it's got a lovely display, but how do you customize it? Because I've seen lots of people customizing their displays on Twitter, and is it just a straight Arduino situation? Like what's the deal? Currently
it's a straight Arduino situation. Essentially we have a high level library for Watchy, and there's one function that you called a draw watch face, and basically you take in the time and you draw it however you want. On our website, go onto our watchy.SQFMI.com, and then you can actually bring it up and click on watch faces, and you will see it. I can see
that. Let me just share my screen so everybody can see what's going on. One moment. I will. Here we go. Share the screen. Move this over here. There we go. Oh, you've got such a nice website design as well.
Yeah, the code for the website is also on GitHub, so you can check that out as well.
Oh, Firefox is just makes me so. Oh, goodness. Firefox is being too annoying. Okay, not this one. Hang on a second. Oh, here we are. That'll do. Here we go. We can see my screen now. Let me just change the view. Add that in. Da 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 da.
Oh, now it's not online.
I know. Hang on. Hang on. I gotta change the ratio. Here we go. So here's the site that we're talking about here. There's the SQFMI, and then we've got watch faces up here. Here we go.
There you go. So yeah, when we first launched the product, we felt like we needed to build up a repository essentially of watch faces so people can just try it out from the very beginning. And we're very grateful for the community as well, because when we first launched this product on Tindy, right away we got some submissions from folks building these really cool watch faces. If you look at the one on the right now, Starry Horizon, I think it was built by one of the JPL engineers at NASA, which kind of followed watch faces and built this out. We try to go between, retro tech, like you can see this DOS interface, Tetris, MSP.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Yeah, and then we do some watch faces that are more for fun. And yeah, we got these really cool submissions from our community, and we try to share all of that on our website.
You've got so many of them. Are these really from your community?
So the top 6 or 7 are from us. So, and all of them that says try it are the ones that we validated. So those are from us. All the other ones are from the community. And so the interesting thing about the try button as well is we figured some of the folks who buy Watchy, put it together, might not want to go through the hassle of setting up the Arduino IDE if it's not already set up, building the software. So why not just use web Bluetooth and do OTA updates? Watch, right? So that's built into the watch. Right out of the box, you can update and try out different watch faces. It's all just Arduino code. And so we got folks doing analog watch faces, binary watch faces, text-based watch faces, and the Mickey Mouse from the original Apple Watch, right? Really cool ideas coming from the community.
I like the Mickey Mouse one. That's hilarious.
And so if you have a great idea, pitch it in Discord so members can kind of like check it out. And if it's a working code example, we'll put it on our site as well.
That's really awesome. And then we've got a case gallery. We've got cases here as well. Oh wow! And these are just your STL files. So this is for people to be able to modify and create their own cases. Look at this with an animation and everything.
Yeah, this is just straight from the preview from GitHub. We share all the STLs for our case designs. We also have the step files for the original PCB. But we want to share the design source for these files as well, but they're fairly big, so we need to figure out what's the right way to share the source for these designs as well. But we want to build a community of case designs as well, because we think one of the unique things about Watchy itself is the flexibility with changing different form factors, different cases. So we want to establish like a huge repository of different cases people can swap out and use and change the color. And that's why we also hosted a contest, a couple of weeks ago on, case design. So trying to really build the community there.
Yeah. That's super cool. This is a really beautiful, and this is how to get started. Honestly, I'm so impressed by your documentation.
Yeah. We're still updating it. It's linked on GitHub. This is run by the DocuSource framework. So if you have feedback, any changes or errors you see here, you can just open an issue and we'll fix it. We're trying to add more examples, documentation on how to put it together. And if there's some cool examples that come our way, we'll put it into the examples tab as well.
I like it. And I like the the clear way you've provided all the documentation. Like here we are, all the different libraries with just, even the fact that you've described, what the different libraries are for. It's a great learning experience. I can tell you're from like the Arduino.
Yeah, and we leverage a lot of other plugins as well. If you click on the hardware tab, we're thrown in the KiCad Bomb tool, right? If you scroll down, and I think that was a great open source project which we loved a lot.
Oh wow!
What these different components are.
What is this, a KiCad? Oh, this is HTML. This is interactive HTML bomb. I've not seen this before.
It's a KiCad plugin that lets you generate this, and so thanks to the developer community that built this tool, we just plugged that right in, and it's a great overview of how the hardware works for the parts.
That's really great. I've never seen this before. This interactive HTML bomb. So I'm opening that in a, let's see, here we are. This is so it's just in GitHub, EasyEDA Igor. So that for KiCad, and it supports these people. Okay, that's good. That's cool. And then you've got your data sheets linked as well for each of the components. Here's the KiCad design files. You really have. Here's all the models.
Yeah. Well, our objective is really, if you wanted to build this from scratch yourself, you would have all the information you need to do that. And so we try to put everything on there.
That's very cool. I really feel like I could build my own based on this. Oh, this is nice.
Yeah, we stole this animation to talk about, what is e-ink, how does it work?
Yeah.
Because we get questions like, is this e-ink, is this e-paper, what display technology are you using? So it's good information, right? Anything that we learned along the way when we built the product, we wanted to share.
Yeah. And do you prefer to use the word e-ink or e-paper? What's your...
So I like to clarify the differentiation. So e-paper is really the technology for this. E-ink is the brand. So our display is not by the e-ink company, but it is e-paper technology. So anything that uses these ink capsules that float between this glass panel using electricity, it's e-paper technology essentially.
But e-ink is just the branded version of e-paper.
Right. And they had a lot to do with the invention and patenting of this technology as well.
Yeah. But so in what cases? But e-ink, I didn't realize that e-ink was actually a brand. So e-paper encompasses e-ink, but e-ink does not encompass.
That's correct.
It's a subset.
It's like when folks say like Kleenex when they mean tissue paper.
I see. Oh, I see. Have you ever done something with flip dots as well?
I've always wanted to, but they are still fairly hard to find and expensive. So
they are really expensive, but I'd love to see what you would do with a flip dot. I'd love to see you invent your own flip dot. I see your next one.
Yeah, with
Flippy. We call it Flippy.
Designs. Yeah, we got the name figured out, right?
Flippy. Yeah. I'll get that copyright. That's totally fine. Yeah, we should. I've always wanted to play with flip dots, and I thought I'd love to see what you came up with. I
know you can get them surplus from some of the. They take them off from the old buses, double-decker buses. They migrate to LCDs, so you can buy some of those fairly cheap. Well, not fairly cheap.
Well, no, they're still expensive. And No, I've seen quite a lot of people do really cool things with them, but they always seem like giant advertising campaigns are the only people who can really afford to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So cool. I love it. What one do you have on your Watchy? Or do you have several? Do you have like an arm full of Watchies all with different faces?
So the main one that I use is really this one, which is more like a dashboard that has all the data. So you have your steps, you have your weather, you have time, and calendar. So this one is the one that's my go-to daily. I also like to wear this maybe on weekends with this Pokemon, right? Which does just the time and nothing else.
Let me spotlight you here. Here we are. Okay, show me that.
Right, this is the Pokemon watch face that you saw earlier on the other screen. The battery's dead right now, so I need to recharge this, but this is also my go-to.
I love it. That's your weekend screen. And do people comment on it in real life? I bet they do.
Yes, some folks say, "Hey, this is a cool watch." People tell me, it's not something you see in the market every day because it's not like a very Apple Watch look. It's not a Pebble. It's kind of bulky as well, so it kind of differentiates when you just look at it from afar. Especially if you have a case like the big one. So
yeah, exactly. I might have to figure out what I can do to bribe you to give me that pink one at some point. Oh dear. All right, let me just bring myself back in. Where are we? Remove. Not this one. No, I'm too big. I don't like that. Here we are. I'm going to remove this one. And we're going to put ourselves back on because it is now, we've been talking for an hour and a half, improbably. Almost an hour and a half, improbably. So I do want to wrap up soon. But I would love to hear I'd love to hear a little bit more about what it is that you think made your campaign so successful, that took it from you.
Yeah, I think there hasn't been a similar product on the market for a while. You know, like I mentioned earlier, folks are missing Pebble. They really want something to take its place. They're looking for something at the right price point. So one of the things in the design factor is we built this as a kit, not an end product, and something that was, if you look at the product like Watchy itself, it's actually a bit more expensive compared to a smart watch you can get on AliExpress or on eBay today, right? You know, they mass manufacture these devices, but a lot of times, you know, you have to download a custom map. You know, they're not very open in terms of what development you can do on it. So I think part of the success is really to do with the openness of the product itself, you know, the customizability. Folks like to tinker. And so having that in the DNA of the product really helped it. And I think it's just a cool product in general, right? You don't see a lot of devices like that where you can, you know, there are DIY phones in the market. I know the Pine phone is one that's not really DIY, that's open. So I love it as well. So I think that culture has the niche of you know, customer segment that we think was just the right timing.
I love all the stuff that Pine do. They've done some really cool stuff. I keep needing to get one of their soldering irons. Right. Which is that, like, they've got like open hardware and open firmware.
A RISC-V processor, USB-C.
Yeah, exactly. It's also really exciting to see RISC-V actually you know, like make its way into open hardware products as well. So, you know, it's
some
an
of
exciting
the
technology.
New upcoming ESP processors are actually based on RISC-V, so that
really, that's cool.
Consider, you know, looking into future iterations of the product as well.
Yeah. That's super cool. Yeah, I was like, I think it's an amazing product, but also I think the fact that you came to the crowdfunding campaign ready, like really prepared with, we're going to do a design competition, we're going to reach out to this media outlet, we're going to do this many blogs, we're going to do, you know, we're going to tweet about all this stuff. Like it was kind of impressive that you and your partner at SQFMI came with this strategy and came with these ideas of how you're going to engage the community during your campaign rather than it being, you know, like an afterthought.
And I think a lot of it came organically as well. Like it wasn't like we had a very serious plan with like, this is exactly what we're going to do. But I think just from observing successful campaigns and, you know, being on the other side, just feeling it out, I think that helped us figure out what was the right thing to do. Right? You know, what makes us excited about a product, you know, we just kind of repeated and regurgitated the same things.
It is a very exciting product, and I've had a really fun time putting it together, and I cannot wait. I think I want to put the Starry Horizon on mine. I really like that one. That one's probably my favorite. Or maybe the Pokemon. I think my sister might want me to. My sister was like massive. Like I was never really super into Pokemon, but my sister was like a huge fan of Pokemon. So maybe I'll get one for her and with the Pokemon on and send it over.
It's fairly easy to edit as well because some folks don't like Eevee, so they swap out Eevee for, you know, Mew or some other Pokemon that they like.
That's true. That is true. That's not Eevee's okay. Eevee's not the best, but Pikachu's the best. We want Pikachu versus Pikachu, really. Like everybody wants double Pikachu. All right, man. It has been really, really fun to have you on. I've learned a lot about e-ink, and I've had a great time chatting with you. Thank you so much for being. Oh, look, here we are. Someone here said, look, someone here made Starry Horizon. Look, Dan Delaney, the guy who made Starry Horizon, is in the chat. So shout out to Dan. Hi, man. Thank you for making Starry Horizon. I think it's gorgeous. It's probably my favorite watch face of all the...
Spinal Cord made Mickey as well. So just a shout out to him.
Spinal Cord made Mickey. All right, we've got 2 actual watch face creators in the chat. That's amazing. All right, we've got the Mickey creator, which is super cool, and we've got the Starry Horizon creator as well. So that's really cool. Nice to see you, and thank you for your work. Yeah, it's all good. That's why it'll be on YouTube afterwards. You know, we get most of our people come and check in afterwards rather than during the stream. So. It was nice to see you. Hello. But yeah, thank you for hanging out with me, Wailun. It's been great. I always enjoy chatting with you. And I'm honestly like a super fan of your approach to open hardware and your reasonings behind for doing open hardware as well. I'm awesome. very excited to see what you and your partner at SQFMI come up with over the next hours. Hours? I'm putting too much pressure on you. I mean, like in the coming years, you know, like I'm really excited to see where this goes. Like, I think you've got a really good approach. Like, you've got exceptional documentation, you've got really good product design, and you've got some great ideas, and you've obviously got some, you know, like a decent amount of focus as well. Is it like your business partner? Like, are they a specialist in a different genre? So they're a product designer or industrial designer? Or?
Yeah, a little bit of history about where we came from as well. So my business partner is my childhood friend, essentially. I've known this person for 30 years, right? And so he is a very talented graphics artist. You know, all the documentation that you see here, even the Fusion 360 designs for the cases is done by him. So, you know, he stepped up and learned, you know, 3D modeling design. So everything we're like the perfect combo, because I focus on the hardware and the software, and he focuses on the documentation as well as the graphics itself. And kind of that synergy kind of allowed us to kind of put together these amazing packaging products.
Yeah, I think it's clearly the amalgamation of like 2 people's expertise to something that's great. I'm always like a big fan of like collaborative products, because I think if you do have 2 people with different skill sets and you smush those skill sets together, you're always going to create something way better than either one of you could have done. Could even have imagined alone, you know. I don't know if you'd been able to do even remotely any of the level of graphic design or
no, not at all. I'm a horrible artist.
Yeah, and the same for your partner. Like, they probably would never have been able to create the technology, you know. But by smushing those skill sets together, you get something that's like a lot greater than the sum of your.
I think it really helped that we kind of both had the same vision of what the product should be, and so we just focused on different aspects of it. So,
yeah. It's a cool story. It's very inspiring, and it's really nice to see. It's not because it's like elevated, right? I really love seeing open hardware that isn't just shipped in an ESD bag. You know, nothing. You know, like no, I'm not dissing ESD bags or like. It's really nice to see some of the products that come to life on Crowd Supply become something that you might be able to, like I could see that on a shelf anywhere. It's not just, it's not just like just for the hobbyist market. This is something that
I think
general people
going
buy.
forward after this remark, you'll see a lot more Crowd Supply campaigns where they have not just an ESD bag, from your comment earlier.
Yeah, well, it looks. I mean, like I also have got a lot of technology that just came in an ESD bag. I didn't mean. I'm not trying to like neg people. I'm just saying that this is extra credit, and it's lovely. I think it does inspire people to raise their game. Actually, I mean, like you look at. I don't know if you've seen Lucas from NNT Reform. He's another person. His packaging is like so nice. Like, and the laptop shipped in this really attractive packaging, and like, and like they had like this beautiful booklet that came with it, like a book, essentially like an instruction manual, and it just looked so nice. And I was just like, yeah, open hardware is. It is real product as well.
Right.
It's really nice to be able to see open hardware in that way.
There's also one other decision for us to kind of go with
pink ESD bags. I would be happy with a pink ESD bag, Dan. Like honestly, if something came to me in a pink ESD bag, I would be thrilled. Or any kind of.
Did you make them in pink? I don't think I've seen.
I didn't know. I've never seen a pink ESD bag. Never.
I've seen pink foam, which is like anti-static, but I haven't seen a pink ESD bag before.
Yeah, you got to drop that link, Dan, unless it's a trade secret. Because I'm slightly baffled by the fact that there's a pink ESD bag, and baffled and excited.
Pink ESD bags, and I think pink solder mask would be something that.
Oh, I've seen pink solder masks actually. There's a really gorgeous looking pink. I don't know if you've seen. There's a pink Arduino Leonardo clone. With these really beautiful graphics on the front that I've seen before. And yeah, you don't see that many pink solder masks.
No.
I
think
neon,
it's always green.
Yeah, that's why we love Oshpark. Purple is at least better than the standard green, or the After Dark. But no, I think there should definitely be more pink, or pastels. I'd love to see some pastel, some pastel colored PCBs. Yeah, anti-static. Pink anti-static bags. Yeah, that's fine. That's what the pink anti-static bags apparently are a thing that exists, according to Dan. So we believe Dan, and we'll be going on Alibaba later today to try and stock up on different coloured. I'm really excited to see what other colours anti-static bags exist in the world. So I'm going to take some time to look at that. All right. Thank you so much for spending all this time with us, Wailun. And apologies for my internet dropping out briefly in the middle there. I guess that's just it comes with the territory. I'm doing working at home live streams when my apartment's internet. Hang on. I've just got something by special delivery.
There you go.
My husband, who works for Oshpark actually, has just poked this through the door to my office. So here we have proof that pink anti-static bags exist. That's actually quite a nice color. So there we are. Pink anti-static bags. What a way to end the stream. Well, it's been super fun hanging out with you. Thank you so much for talking me through the build of this beautiful watch. I cannot wait to start customizing it. I'm probably going to put Pokemon on it to start with, and Starry Horizon. And I'll share a bunch of that on Twitter as well. But yeah, thanks very much. We all think you're awesome at CrowdSupply, and we love your documentation. Keep up the great work. Awesome. It's always nice to hang out with you. Cheers. Thank you everyone, and thank you everybody for coming along. Thanks Dan, thanks Drew, thanks Matt, and Spinal Cord, and everybody else who came and hung out with us. It was really fun to speak to you. All right, everybody, bye.